Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about CO2, the latest game from the designer of Vinos, and it is a very big, complicated, deep, smart game about players working kind of together but also competitively to save the world from global warming or climate change and trying to make the most victory points along the way. So the board is very pretty, and it represents the world broken down into 6 regions: Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania, North America, and South America. And each one of these regions needs power. The game takes place over 5 decades, or 6 decades if you're playing 6 players, or 5 players? I don't know, I only play 2 players, so if you have enough players you need 6 decades. Mostly it takes place over 5 decades. And every decade, all these regions grow and need more and more power. If we, as players, do not find a way to come up with smart, green technology like recycling, biofuels, cold fusion, solar, and reforestation, then they themselves will actually dig into the pile of evil and come up with oil or natural gas or coal, heaven forbid, and basically just push the world further and further up the pollution scale to where, well, if it hits 500, it's game over. Everybody loses. So players are trying to ensure that doesn't happen while still actually trying to stay ahead of everybody else. So at the beginning of the game, players pretty much start off in the same situation. We've got a bunch of markers that keep track of where we are. We've got one scientist, and we'll get more over the course of the game, as first player. Where's the first player marker? First player marker. I have $3. Jen, as second player, has $4. And we each also start with 2 CEFs, which stands for, CEPs? CEPs, carbon emission permits, that determine just how much additional pollution we're allowed to put into the world. Countries, Africa starts out with 2 additional carbon, so they'll be doing a little bit more pollution, but not very much. Whereas Asia starts out with the most, with 5. So they have the potential to pollute the world quite a bit. And each of us has the potential to pollute the world with 2. But the trick is, spending these CEFs, which pollutes the world a little bit, while still actually trying to have a net positive with our green power plants and whatnot. So, without further ado, let's actually just start. Oh, I should actually, with a bit further ado, we also start the game with a hand of cards, which can either be randomly drawn or there's a drafting thing if you want to do, but I've just randomly drawn some. First of all, my secret objective card is that I want to I will get extra points at the end of the game depending on how many of the technologies I've advanced in, or our scientific what do they call it? Not precision. What do they? I forget the term. How smart we are in the various and sundry expertise. How high our expertise is in solar or fusion or what have you. So I want to have top expertise in as many as I can, because I'll get 4 points for everything that I top out on. Jen, meanwhile, has the one where for every region of the 6 in the game that she has control of at the end of the game, power control that is, or control of their power, she will get 4 points for every region. So that's something that she's trying to do. We also start with what are called lobby cards, where we can lobby local governments and give us like one-time special bonuses. We only ever get 5, so we have to use them wisely over the course of the game. But enough of that, let's actually start playing the game. Now, the first thing that happens every turn is, the world, has more power demands. But the first turn, in the 70s, we skip that because that was part of setup. So we go straight to actions. And every turn, every player has they can do 1 of 3 actions. They can propose a project, they can install a project, or they can construct the actual power plant. And what that means is building a power plant takes 3 steps. First, you have to propose it. You have to say I want to build a solar in Europe. So I have to propose a project, which means I put it down here, and then the government gives me a subsidy. They'll either give me money, resources, or more scientists to help. That's the first step. You propose. Then later on, you have to develop that project or install the project, which means you flip this. And you get a one-time bonus. In case of solar, when you develop the project, you get 3 white cubes, which stands as resources. But to develop the project, you have to pay one of these purples, one of these CEFs, because it's implicitly polluting to actually build the site and get the country ready for this power, because of concrete and all the other types of issues. So you actually have to pollute a little to help the world. And then the last step is you actually build, in the case of a solar, because I've set up this project, and first of all I proposed it and I got some subsidy, I got some money. Then I paid my CEF to develop it so it's ready to build, and now I can basically, this comes off the board as a third action, and I can take my solar panel. I have to pay money, $10 and 2 cubes, which stand for like technology resources, and build the thing, and I get 8 points. So it's a multi-stage process, and actually players can kind of piggyback off each other. I might do one step, you might do the next step. But anyway, it's my turn. I'm going to start the game, and since there are no projects on the board, the only thing I can do is I can propose a project. So I got to think about, do I want to put solar in Asia or recycling in America or what have you? There's a couple things I can use to try and start building up a long-term strategy. First of all, each of the regions, this is random, has specific things they want. For instance, Europe, the number one thing they would like is reforestation. Number 2 thing they'd like is solar. Number 3 they want is fusion, cold fusion. Whereas randomly over here in Asia, number 1 thing they want is solar, and then biofuels, and then recycling. So that's something I want to bear in mind. There's also a bunch of world summits going on right now randomly in New York and Zurich and Rome. And if I can train my scientists up in certain technologies, I can send them to these summits and increase my technology understanding even further. So I might want to bear in mind that hey, I want to hit this summit in Rome, bringing in a scientist of mine who knows solar, because I could do well in this Rome thing. And then there's the other thing you got to bear in mind. The UN has requested that certain guidelines be met, and you can earn victory points. So like for instance, if at any point in the game I've got a reforestation project completed and a solar plant completed, I can get 5 points, all the way up to 7 points if I personally have done a reforestation, cold fusion, and you can't quite see it there, but the bio. So this is something I'm actually trying to build for. I'm trying to build to ensure that I'm smart with my summits. I'm also trying to remember what each country actually wants. So there is a lot to juggle every time you decide to propose a product. Oh, there's also the notion that there might be disasters, and you might want to take that into account. But okay, let's see. Enough jibber jabber. Let's actually propose a project, shall we? I think I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for solar. I'm going to do a solar because I'm thinking in terms. Oh. Yes, there's a couple of reasons I'm going to want a solar. Because there's 2 solar summits. I might be able to get in them and score some points. A couple of my cards bonus me for solar. If I build a solar plant, I can get $3. If I send a guy to a solar summit, I can increase my smarts. Why do I keep calling it prestige? Expertise, because they sound similar. So I'm going to go with solar. That seems like a good opening thing. So that means I'm going to take one of the projects, flip it over, and I propose it in some region of the world. Now I could propose it in Europe because they like solar. So does Africa. So does Asia. Oceania does not. Neither does America. So I can't do it in Oceania, America. So let's see. Who would I like to propose it with? I'll go with Asia. The sleeping tiger? What have you? Okay. So. When I propose this solar project, I'm going to get a government subsidy. I can choose whether I want it to be money, resources that helps me actually build the thing, or additional scientists, so I can actually have more scientists on board. So I am going to go with money. Because China is such a big place, the amount of money I get is equal to the number of CEFs they've got. So I get $5 right off the bat. That's pretty darn nice. That was my core action. Propose, install, or construct. I've done a propose, I can't do anything else. However, every turn I also have several free actions I can do. I can do one of each of these. I can do one card action, one scientist action, and one market action. Let's start with the scientist action. I've got one scientist. I can actually assign him to a project out in the world. There's only one. I'm going to assign him to my own project. That means he is out there getting smarter about solar, which is actually going to help my expertise in solar. I can still do a market action, and I can do a card action. I don't think I have any good card actions right now. I'm not building anything. Yes. If I can do a propose thing, but I got money instead of proposing for resources, so that doesn't necessarily help me. Maybe I should have done that though. I'll do it later. I should say another thing. Each of these things gives me a bonus. Like when I build a solar, I get $3. I build forestation, I get $3. I go to the market and I buy something, I get 2 victory points. Alternatively, instead of doing the specific thing, I can always, anytime I want, I can use the card to get an extra scientist, get an extra resource, get an extra $2, get an extra $2. So I could do those, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to let it go. And so that was my turn. I did my scientist, but I passed on my market actions. You know what? No, I'm going to do a market action. I'm going to do one market action, which is either buy or sell CEFs. I've got 2. I'm going to sell one. I'm going to sell it in the market, and it sells for $3. And so now the market's depressed a little bit. It goes down to 2, and I made 3 more bucks. 1, 2, $3. So that's the end of my turn. And now we are on to Jen's turn. Remember, we're playing over 5 decades, and every decade, we're going to have 5 turns. So each of us is going to get 5 turns per decade. So Jen's turn. Her thing, she wants to take over control of regions, so that's like a long-term strategy of hers. She's also gets she gets $3 extra if she proposes a project in America. So let's say she's going to do that. She's going to propose a project in America, which means she wants to propose cold fusion, biofuels, or recycling. And now recycling and biofuels are the cheapest things to build. So maybe she wants to get in early and start working on that. Does she want bio or cold fusion? Now she's got to start thinking about the future, about the summits. Because for instance, she knows I've got this guy who's working on solar. Sometime in the future, I might send my solar expert over here to Rome to this summit. And if Jen had a recycling expert, she could send her guy, and then the summit would be done. So she's going to start planning ahead based on what she thinks I might do. So she is going to go to America and start working on a recycling project. So she comes over here to the project. She is going to propose to the American people a recycling project. So she flips it over, and she decides, is she going to get a grant of money, a grant of resources, or a grant of scientists? Now, what does she want? Money? Scientists or resources? Money's always good, and America, next to China, gives a lot of money, same as Europe, so she could get a lot more money. She could get another scientist to start playing. I think she's actually going to go for science. She's going to make a proposal, and so one of America's best and brightest minds is going to join her team as her government subsidy. So she's got 2 scientists, whereas I've got 1. Now, she's done her core action, propose a, and she got a little something for it, the scientist. She's still got her free actions. She can do cards, she can do scientists, or she can visit the market. Now remember, she has a card that gives her $3 whenever she makes a proposal to America. So she's going to turn that in right now. This card is now out of the game, and she gets 3 more bucks. So she's up to 7 already. So she's done a card. Even if she had another card she'd like to play, she can't play it now. She's got her scientist. She's got 2 scientists, so she's actually put one of them to work in her recycling project. So that's her free science action. And then the last thing, does she want to go to the market? She could do the same thing as me. She could sell, a CEF, but I think she's just going to hold right now. Now, I've already forgotten one very important thing. At the end of my turn, and this is an easy thing to forget, every time you finish your turn, if you have any scientists out there working in the world, they can increase your expertise. So at the end of my turn, I forgot, I have this scientist working solar. So what that means is I come over to the expertise tracks, I find the solar track, and I say I've just made level 1 of solar. Forgot to do that. Now, it's the end of Jen's turn. She's kind of in the same situation. She's just made level 1 of recycling. And now recycling's nice. You'll notice at level 1, she can right off the bat, she can build a power plant now. She has enough technology to know how to do it. Me, I can't build a solar power plant until I get a little bit smarter about it. That's the end of the first turn. So we move on to turn number 2. I'm still first. My turn. I'm wanting to build that solar power plant. But it's going to take a while before I can actually be smart enough to do it. So, do I want to, take this to the next level? Do I want to propose another thing so I can get more resources from government grants? Let's see. Now, I know ultimately when I build this power plant, a solar power plant is going to require 2 cubes and $10. I've got the $10, but I'm going to need cubes. How can I get cubes? The easiest way is to make proposals to countries to do additional stuff. So I think I am and actually I worked I'm going to make another proposal. I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to propose? Let's see. If I'm thinking right now that I want, I'm starting to work on this solar plant. Maybe I also want to work on a forestation plant so I can get this UN bonus. So I'm going to propose a forestation project. And now where would I like to do it? Well, there's only certain countries that will take it. South America, no. America, no. So I can go to Oceania, Africa, or Europe. What would I like to get into? think I'm going to jump into Africa. Why? Because I want to help the starving children of Africa. Of course, why not? So I'm going to take this project and I'm going to put it in the slot that gives me 2 cubes. That is my government grant from the African government. So I get 2 resources that will help me later on build stuff. So that's put there. And let's see. That was my core action. Now, I've still got bonus actions. Let's talk about my bonus actions. First one, I'm going to use one of my bonus card actions because, remember from before, I've got this action where if I make a proposal and it's for to get the 2 cubes, I get another scientist. So I'm going to do that right now. This card is out of the game. And another scientist has just joined my worldwide team. Now, I've done my free card action. I'm going to do my free science action. My new scientist buddy, he's going to go to Africa and start studying forestation. Isn't he smart? And now for my market action, I could do a market action. I could sell another one. I could buy one back. Actually, that's kind of nice. Because if I buy one back, I sold for 3. I can buy it back and basically get a net buck because I'd buy for 2. Let's see. But how much money do I need? Because the next turn, I'm going to actually want to build a power plant. And a power plant costs 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'd have to pay 2. I would not have enough money, so I'm not going to do a market action. I could make a little play the market a little bit. I'm just going to let that go. End of my turn, and now remember at the end of my turn, because I've got scientists working the board, I can increase my expertise. I can only ever increase 1 though, so I have a choice. Do I want to increase my solar smarts or my forestation smarts? I'm going to increase my solar because that means I get to level 2, which means next turn I could actually build a power plant. Although actually it's going to take me a while to do that. Maybe I don't want to do that. Do I want to get on forestation? You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to do the other. I'm going to get on forestation. Because remember, my long-term goal is to be in the lead on expertise on everything as much as possible. So instead of continuing to work on solar, I'm going to work on forestation and get onto the first floor of forestation as well. Look at me. Aren't I smart? End of my turn. Jen's turn. Let's see. Coming back to her. Let's see. Now then. So she's got these cards going to UN and stuff like that. But what's she want to do? I think see, how much money does she have now? 2, 6, she has $7. A recycling station costs $7. She is almost to the point where she could actually build that thing. And in fact, but that'd be interesting. Yes, actually, she's going to do an interesting thing here. Now, this is a core element of the game. Just because I've got scientists out here working on these projects does not mean these are my projects. These are the government projects. When I proposed the project, the government gave me funds and they took it over. So just because I've got my guy working there doesn't mean I own it. Anybody can develop these projects further, and that's what Jen is going to do. For her action, instead of proposing a new project, like I did, I proposed 2 projects now, instead of proposing a new project, she is going to take a project to the next step. She's going to install it, which means she's going to pay one of her purple CEFs and flip one. Now, she could flip this one that kind of feels like her own, but she's not. She's going to flip one of mine. Or again, not mine, but one of the ones that I'm on. So now, because my scientist is here, she is going to have to pay me $1 to tell my scientist to beat feet. So I get $1 from her, and my scientist, I now have a choice. He can come home, which means I will get 1 additional point of smarts for solar, or I can send him off to summits and whatnot. Let's see. And now I'm thinking, hey, you know what? There's this summit that requires solar and, forestation. I've got my forestation guy over here. He's becoming an expert. I could actually maybe set up a 2-for-1. So I could get another solar, which would help me build a plant. But instead, I'm going to send him off to Zurich to start working in this World Summit, which gives me nothing now, but it'll maybe give me something later. And in the meantime, I got $1 for my trouble. So, but anyway, it's still Jen's turn. So, and her action was to install a project. So she is installing this project. She paid me off to get me out. And then she flips it, which means she has to pay one of the CEFs, and it's out of the game. And because she basically polluted a little bit to do the groundwork for this solar plant. However, she now has, for her troubles, 3 cubes. Which means she's got everything she needs next turn to build her recycling plant. So her core action was install and actually kind of interact with me a little bit. She's still got bonus action she could do. She's got another scientist. So I think it's time for her second scientist to get out there and start studying. And wouldn't you know it, there happens to be a free project available that somebody just left. So she's going to put her scientist on what I used to think was my project. And now he is going to study for her. So she's now at the end of her... and then does she want to do a card? you know what? Yes, she does. Look at this. She has a card that gives her $3 if she installs a solar thing, which is what she just did. She installed this solar thing, so the card she's going to play gives her $3 extra. So she's really kind of starting for her early game. She's getting kind of loaded. So she used her card. She did her science action. She could do a market action if she wants. And I wonder if maybe she would. I mean, she's got excess money now. Maybe she should buy one of these CEFs since they're a little bit depressed in price. Because I depressed the market a little bit. I think she will. I think she is going to pay $2, because that's where it is at the moment, and buy a CEF. So she can do more stuff later. Let's see. And now, but still the price stays low. The price is going to stay at this depressed market until the market gets completely blown out. So it still stays at 2. So she just bought one because she had a little bit of extra money because of that play. When she played her card. So she's done a science thing, she's done a card thing, she's done the market, she's done her core thing. All that's left is for her to decide, does she want to increase her solar smarts, her prestige, or experience, or her recycling? Now, she's already up at 1 on recycling. She can already build a recycling plant. Does she want to start learning how to do solar as well? I think she will. She wants to diversify, shall she? So boom, there she is on solar. Okay, end of her turn. Moving on to turn number trace. Okay, back to me, and what am I going to do? Now, of course, before, I was actually trying to get ready to build this solar plant, and I still can, because again, even though her scientist is here, this does not mean she owns this project. I can still, grab the glory of building this power plant. However, I will have to pay her $1 to kick her dude out. So do I want to do that, or do I want to walk away and do something else? Let's see, I know one thing I want to do, but you know what, I think I am going to do it. I think basically this coin is going to get sent back. I'm going to do this third step. I'm going to construct a power plant. I'm going to stick to my original plan, which means I have to pay Gen 1 to tell her guy, Amscray, Vamoose, etc., etc. So now Jen could take this scientist back, in which case she would increase her solar by 1. She's doing the same thing as me. She wants to get in on this Rome thing so that she can hopefully benefit from that summit. So anyway, I paid her off, and I'm doing the construct action. So this is a, I do have enough money, right? Yes, I do. To build a solar plant costs $10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 2 cubes, so I've just paid it all. And so now I can, this is the first green power plant of the game, and I install it in Asia. And I get 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Although it's not quite that good, because I just paid $10 for that, and at the end of the game, every dollar's worth half a point. So I just paid 5 points to make 7 points. It's not quite as good as it looks, but still, boom! Look at me, I'm in the lead. I'm converting and I'm making points. So this is my power plant. And the project is gone, so it just moves out of the way. It's vamoosed, and which means once again we can get a government grant for money here in Asia. So I built a power plant. I've made victory points. Also, but I can't do it yet. Darn it! So many moving parts in this game. Actually, I'm sorry. I have to take all that back, everybody. Put the thing back out. Take my $10 back. Because, you may recall, I didn't get a chance to move my solar up far enough because I sent him off to Zurich. I can't do this yet. I'm not smart enough to make a power plant. So this project is still out there. I take my $1 back. I never kicked Jen off. Sorry for the retroactive stuff. But anyway, so what am I going to do instead? I'm going to walk away from that. I'm going to do something else. Let's see. For starters, I am actually going to, before I do any of my core actions, I'm going to do my scientist action. I'm going to take my guy who, I started on forestation. He learned a little bit. I'm going to tell him, hey, you know what? You're done. We're moving you over to Zurich. Because now that there are 2 guys here in Zurich, they've completed this, and I will get bonus expertise in both of these fields. So that was my free action of scientists. I can't do any scientists anymore. However, let's see. Dang it. I'm forgetting all kinds of important steps. When I had moved my other guy over here last turn, when Jen kicked him out. Oh, no, but I couldn't because it wasn't my turn. Never mind. Forget that. Alrighty. So I'm moving over there. At the end of this turn, I'm gonna get a big reward for completing this summit in Zurich. But anyway, I've done my free action. I can still do cards. I got no cards I could do, which makes me sad. I could do the market, but instead, I'm just gonna have to go to my main thing: propose, install, or construct. Now, I'm not smart enough to construct a darn thing. I can't do any forestry. I can't do any of that. So I want to get smarter about solar, so I can construct that. Or do I want to get smarter about TTD? Anyway, what am I going to propose? What am I going to propose? Let's see. I still want to get this UN thing, the 1 in 5. So I think I'm going to propose another solar, because that's another way to get cubes. That's really, really nice. Where am I going to propose is cubes? Let's see. Where would be good? Okay, but of course I have to ask who wants solar. You know what? I'm just going to say I'm going to jump into South America. And I'm going to do it to get... No, I'm going to jump into Europe because I'm going to get some more money. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm doing the project here. I get $4. There's a 2 and a 2. So I've got more money. So I propose this. All right, it's flipped down. I've already done my science action, so I can't put another science here. But I did propose it, and I got some money. So that was my core action. I've done my secondary actions. At the end of my turn, now is when I actually try to increase my smarts. But unfortunately, all my guys are in Zurich, so they're not actually out there studying. However, we have now, at the end of my turn, completed the Zurich thing. So these guys come home, and I get the benefit of extra knowledge about forestation and solar panels. The way this works is each one of these guys is going to learn both of these factors. So basically, I've learned 2 forestation and 2 solar in one turn. If, on the other hand, Jen had a scientist here, the way it would work is, each of us would, Jen's scientist would learn the sun, my guy would learn the forest, and then we would each learn the other. So we'd each get 1, but because both of my guys are here, I learned 2 of each. Sweet. So my forest goes up 1, 2, and now I'm high enough to build forest, and my solar goes up 1, 2, which means I'm high enough to build solar. And remember, my big thing is I want to scream ahead on all these tracks, so I'm starting to do that. We finished Zurich, it's out of the game. A new one comes up, which will be in Essen, and it goes out. And these can get up to have like 3 or even 4 things, so these can become very complex, but a really great way of screaming ahead, in expertise. So anyway, that was the end of my turn. Jen's turn now, and what's she going to do? Let's see. From turn to turn, I'm forgetting what I was even planning on doing the previous turn. She's got a couple scientists out there. She's got resources. What the heck? She is going to build a gosh darn power plant, I do believe. And what does she want to build? Does she want to build that? Oh, no. Well, here's the thing. She could finish this. She could build this power plant for the solar that she had set up in a previous turn. Or she can't build the recycling, but she could instead pay one of her purples to flip it. But she's not going to do that. We're going to build a power plant. I think you guys have been waiting long enough for that. So, although you actually saw me do it incorrectly before. Does she have enough money? No, she doesn't. She has 2, 4, 6. She only has 7. She doesn't have enough to build solar. So she's not. Okay, well, so she is going to instead get this thing ready for building, which means she pays another one of her purples. It's out of the game. Flips this. And gets, for her trouble, $5 and another purple, which comes from the market. There we go. And so now she's set up for next turn. Next turn, I promise. She has the time and the resource to build either one of those things. But in the meantime, what else does she want to do? She's still got her free science action, her free card action, and her free visit the market action. Now, she doesn't have any good cards she'd want to do. She could. She could just turn these in and get money, but that's kind of wasteful. She's not going to do that. So she's not going to do any cards. Is she going to move her scientists around? Now, the interesting thing is, let's see. I think, my scientists have come home, so these things I've set up are wide open. She could use her science to move off. She figures, she knows enough about recycling for now. She could move it over here or over here, in fact, to learn more about forestry. She's going to do that. She's going to move her guy off of recycling over to forestry. So now, at the end of her turn, she has the option. Does she want to study forestry and get on the board, or does she want to study solar and push solar up to where she could build it? That's a tough choice. I don't know which one's better. But let's see, seeing as how I'm screaming ahead on solar and she doesn't necessarily want to fall behind on that, she is going to, but she just want to get on the board with forestry. Let's see. She got the... Then you got to come back to thinking about this stuff. What she want to do? No, actually, I don't think she wants to. She wants to keep it here because she's thinking, hey, in the same way that I had the double thing in Zurich, she wants to have a double thing in Roma with this solar and this, recycling. So she is going to start preemptively getting ready for that. Even though it doesn't benefit her right now, she's going to move that guy. Instead of moving over to Forest, she's going to move him to Rome so that hopefully next term she can move her other guy over and get a big, big benefit there. And now, at the end of her turn, she's done all her actions. She's not going to do any market stuff. She can decide to increase her solar by 1. And now she's smart enough to build power plants. Moving on to turn 4 of the first decade, and it's my turn again. And where am I? My scientists are nowhere to be seen. But now, remember that thing I'm going to do it this time. I am actually going to build that solar plant that I wanted to do last time, but I kind of messed up. So you kind of remember how it works. Again, Jen is kind of blocking it, so I got to pay her off, which means she's going to be pleased about this because I just paid her to move her scientist. She could take it back into her hand, which means she'd get 1 increase on her solar, but instead she's going to put him on Roma, which means at the end of the turn she'll get a big, big payoff. Very nice for her. Maybe not the smartest thing in the world for me to do it, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway. So I paid her off, and now I'm going to build that power plant this time, gosh darn it. So again, $10. Here's the 10. Here's the 2 cubes. And ta-da, power plant. And well, I forgot to undo my points, so I still got the points. I put the marker on this to say this is mine. This comes back to indicate that once again it's open. And I have now built a power plant in Asia. And because I built a power plant in Asia, I have now taken control of the Asian power market. As long as I stay ahead of Jen and provide what they want, which is solar, bio, and recycling more than Jen does, I will stay in control, which means I have access to all of their CEFs. I can use them anywhere in the world. So that was my core action I built. And now I've still got free actions. I should definitely use a science and get a scientist out there to work. Do I want him to come over here and study recycling, which I haven't actually even got? I'm going to do that. I want to get on the board with recycling as well. So I moved him over there onto what used to be kind of you'd think of as Jen's thing. But anyway, so I moved over there. Do I want to do a card thing? Yes, I do. This turn is the turn that I built a solar plant, so I get $3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm set up for the next turn. So I've done my card. I've done my scientist. Am I going to do the marketplace? I've got money. I could actually afford to buy that last one. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay 2. I'm going to buy this last one. Because remember, originally I sold it, so I've now made that $1 profit of selling it at 3 and then buying it back at 2. And now you'll notice it says, stop. Because this has been exposed, there's not going to be any more, I can't do any more selling and whatnot. However, whenever the market goes empty, what happens is it refills back up with 2. This is the only time these CEFs come into the game. Otherwise, it's a closed system. Comes back in, moves back up, and now we're kind of back to where we started with 3. So I've done a market action, I've done a scientist action, I've done a card action, my turn is done, and because I got a scientist on the board, boom. I like recycling, yes I do, and I'm now tied with Jen on the recycling track. We can both do recycling. Jen's turn. She's like, "Darr, okay, well, she's going to have to pay me $1 to get, because she's going to build that recycling plant. She's going to have to pay me $1 to get me out, so it pays me the $1, and I take, wait, sorry. Before the end of my turn, I got the bonus for recycling, but don't forget, Jen, on my turn, completed this thing in Rome. So she gets the big payoff, which is 2 solar and 2 recycling. Very nice for her. This is out of the game. She goes up twice on solar, 1, 2, and she goes twice on recycling, 1, 2. And she's really close to crossing a line where she will, the higher you up you get on these things, you start getting lots and lots of bonuses, which is very, very nice. So she's almost about to the point where she will get 1 expertise in cold fusion for free. So that was the end of my turn. Now it's her turn. And what's she going to do? Interesting, she's going to build this recycling plant that she set out to do a while ago. So she pays me the 1. I bring my guy off. I can bring him home, which means I'll get 1 on recycling. And I'll start trying to catch up with her. Or I can send him. Oops, I forgot to put a new whatchamacallit. There we go. Seattle, where they like 3 things: forestry, biofuels, and recycling. So I could send him to a summit, or I can bring him home. I'm just going to bring him home. Which increases me, what was that in? That was in recycling, so my recycling has gone up 1. And now, Jen is continuing to build her recycling plant. Recycling costs 7 and 1 cube, so she pays her 1 cube and her $7, significantly cheaper early in the game. And this goes away, back over to the pile, and she builds a recycling plant in North America. She gets 5 points for her trouble, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she now takes control of the North American market because she's got the only green power plant in town. So that was her core thing. She did a construction. And I forgot, you'll be up. I think I forgot this for me too. When she built this, every time you build a power plant, you implicitly go up 1 on the track. So because she built this, she got to go up 1 on her recycling, which means she crossed the threshold, which means she now gets to go up 1 on cold fusion for free. I forgot to do this on my turn too. When I built my power plant, I went up 1 more on solar and caught up with Jen on the solar track, which is good because remember, I want to stay ahead of everybody over there. So she has built a thing. She's made 5 points. Let's see. Did she have any cards she wanted to take advantage of when she did that? No. Let's see, does she want to do any marketplace stuff? No. Well, heck, maybe she should, but she's not going to. Let's see, is she going to do a scientist thing? Yes, she should definitely get their scientists out working. And so she could get them to work either studying up solar or studying up forestry. She's going to do forestry now because she's never made it onto the list. So at the end of her turn, she makes it onto the forestry track. And now we move on to the final turn of the first decade. Although I think maybe, correct me if I'm wrong on it, I might have skipped a turn. But anyway, if I did, pretend I did 1 turn less. But we're on to the last turn. I think I did skip a turn. Oh boy, because that was actually a pretty, anyway. So we're the last turn of the 70s. How are we going to end it out? I've got both my scientists home. Let's see. There's a solar plant. I could take that to the next level. I could install it. I could kick Jen out and try to install this forestry project, or I could propose a new project. I think, let's see, I definitely want, because I'm thinking always about getting this UN bonus. So I've already got a solar plant. I want but do I want to kick Jen out to do that? Do I even have enough money to do that? I could kick Jen out, and, well, I gotta think, do I want to do I want to get on the board and start working on cold fusion because Jen's on there? Do I want to start working on biofuels? I think maybe I want to do that. I'm gonna make a new proposal because I haven't done it yet. I'm gonna start working on biofuels as well. Now so that means I'm gonna make a proposal for biofuels. I gotta figure out who in the world wants it. South America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. What do I want? You know what? You can never have too much money. I'm going to send this guy, I'm going to start working on biofuels in Asia. Which I put it here. And again, it's the money one, so I get $5. We're in the money. We got a lot of what it takes to get around. Okay, so that was my core action. For my scientist action, I will have him go out and start studying biofuels instead of solar. Oh no. Actually, no. I'm not going to have him do that. I'm going to have him come out here and start studying solar. Because, and I'll show you why in a second, which means I didn't really put the biofuel out there for any particular reason, but I did still get $5, so that was quite nice. I'm still setting up for something in the future. So I've done my core thing, propose a project, I've done a scientist, I have, I'm not going to do any of my cards, so that's my last turn of the 70s. Jen's final turn of the 70s, boy, she'd really like to build another one, but I don't think she's going to necessarily do that. What is she going to do? She is going... Oh, that'd be kind of nice. She could really start setting herself up for the future. That would be kind of interesting. Because, she's looking at, hey, in Copenhagen, there's forest and biofuels. If she put her scientists out here and started studying biofuels, she could try to get both of them over here to, really pay off big in Copenhagen. Let's say that's what she's going to do for her scientist, so she can set up for that move later. But she's still got her core action. She's going to propose, install, or construct. There's nothing to construct. She could flip either of these, in which case she'd get 3 cubes or 2, CEFs. Does she want to flip one of those? Does she want CEFs? I don't think she necessarily wants CEFs. But... I'm not going to spend much more time thinking about, actually, is there anything I haven't shown that she could do? I flipped. Yeah, she's going to flip her own. She's going to push this forestry thing along. So she's going to flip it. She's going to stay here. And because she paid one of her CEFs, which is out of the game, she now gets 2 CEFs. Bunk, 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 1, 2. Which emptied out the marketplace. The marketplace is emptied out, which means it refills and demand goes up. So now these CEFs are actually starting to build in value. So she did that. That was her core thing and her scientist move. Does she want to play any cards? I don't think so. Does she want to visit the market? You know what? Now that the price of these have gone up to 4, she is going to sell one and get $4, and they go back down to 3. Bink, bink. So she drove the prices up a little bit and then sold one quite nicely. Made a little bit of money. And so that was the end of the 70s. Now I'm just going to start the 80s just so you can see what happens at the beginning of a new decade, and I will wrap it up because we're almost out of time here. So we move on to 1980. It was a beautiful time. First thing we do, we distribute income. What we do is we come over here on our expertise tracks, and whoever's in the lead gets money. Or in the case of a tie, both of us get money. So if we look at me, I'm green. I'm in the lead here, so I get $1. We're tied here, so we each get 3. And I'm behind here, so I don't get this 2 because Jen's ahead. So I get $4. Let's go ahead and grab that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jen, she gets nothing for this. She's in the lead here, so she gets 3. She's in the lead here, but it's worth 0, so she gets nothing. So she gets 3, and 3 more because we're tied there, so she gets 6. Where's a 5 and a 1, so she gets 6. Now, we could have taken that as points or money. We took it as all money because money's important, but later on in the game, you're getting to the point where, okay, you know what, I don't need the money anymore, I need to start making points. So, money, just straight up money making by, staying in the lead up here is very, very powerful. But we're done with that. Now, the world needs more energy. So each region, let's see, basically needs more energy because we moved on. So let's start randomly. We can start with England. We'll just start with Europe because they're right here. This is in the 1980s. It's empty. They need power. Neither Jen nor I supplied it, so they go to the cup of fossil fuel evilness, and they pull out the worst thing they could have pulled out, coal. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting more and more polluted, and they've just thrown away one of their CEFs to build that coal plant. Moving on to Africa. Africa needs more power. They have decided to get oil. So we go up 1, 2, 3, and they lose a CEF. Asia, remember, I took care of them. So they're quite happy with their solar plant, so they just stand tight. Oceania wants something, needs some power. They get oil, so they lose a CEF, and it goes up 1, 2, 3. As you can see, we're getting closer and closer to the danger mark. Moving on to North America. Jen took care of North America, they're fine. And so finally, South America. What are you going to do, South America? Natural gas, oh, good for them. They're sticking to natural gas, which only goes up to 1, 2. And they lose a CEF. So, the world has gotten more polluted. Next up, we go to the events. There is the chance that Europe was about to get hit by a global climate change disaster, flood, storm, whatever. And that would have happened if the pollution had gone over 350. But since it didn't, we're below 350, everything is fine. But otherwise, events happen, and Jen and I basically have to contribute to the relief effort. And if we can't, we lose points. But anyway, so that's the setup for the new year. The world is becoming more and more polluted. And you can imagine, over time, we are desperately trying to build our green plants as fast as we can, but they're building dirty plants even faster, and we're getting closer and closer to the abyss of 500 when it's past the tipping point and the world can't be saved. But starting this turn, I'm almost to the point where I could actually get this forest thing. It's that forest thing plus my solar would get me my first UN contract, which would be 5 points. And Jen, she's to the point where, actually, if she moves her little blue guy off of this forest, she can play this, to move it over here because she wants to, get both these guys in Copenhagen. When she does that, if she plays this card, not only will she, do really well at the summit, but she'll get an extra expertise of her choice. It's a wild card. So, we're just starting. And this was really bog simple compared to how complex the combinations of stuff gets. When you're moving up through here and you hit the random wild card and you make a move over here, which is a random wild card, which moves over here, which puts a CEF somewhere out in the world, which you can then use to actually pay to do, all kinds of crazy stuff happens. And always watching what your opponent is doing. I think you get the idea about what CO2 is all about. Very complicated game, a million moving parts, and you really do have to focus on everything. Getting UN points, working on summits, what are my strengths, what are my bonus points at the end of the game? Is the world going to be destroyed? Because there's a few ways we can end. The game either ends when we get to the end of the time track. It also ends if 2 countries get completely full of green power, which is tricky. It also ends if we ever go over that 350 line where bad events start happening, and we somehow pull ourselves back from the brink and go back below 350, which is a very cool, dramatic way to end the game, that we kind of got a respite and sort of save the world from ourselves. We're on the road to recovery. So, I don't know, there's not much more to say about the game other than if you like a lot of moving parts, you want to think a lot, and you want a big, sprawling game that's going to last a while, I think you should seriously check out CO2. That's it, everybody. My name is Richard Ham. I hope this was useful. If I made any mistakes, I think I might have made a couple. By all means, please point it out, and I will annotate the vid on YouTube. Thanks for your time. See you later. Bye-bye.